All right, we will be linking up with our Abuja studio where the Minister of Interior will be speaking with Eshomomo Imodu and TJC Adeoye on what the ministry is doing differently at this time. Good morning, TJC. Good morning, Eshomomo. How are you guys doing?
Good morning, Veronica. It's good to hear from you this morning.
Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you guys. So we hope that you'll be having very insightful conversation with the minister, particularly the challenges some people are facing when it comes to renewing their passports.
Of course. Exactly. We'll discuss all about that in the next 30 minutes.
All right. Take it away then.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the show this Wednesday morning. And the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, has reaffirmed the ministry's commitment to maintain internal security and promote good governance in Nigeria through effective collaboration with relevant agencies. And the minister reiterated that the ministry remains steadfast in its mission to safeguard the nation and uphold governance standards with strong leadership and commitment to teamwork. He insists that the ministry is poised to drive meaningful change, ensuring efficiency and accountability across all its agencies. Now, Mr. Tunji-Ojo made this known recently when the Director General of the Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, Adebowale Adedokun, and his team paid him a courtesy visit to set the stage for enhanced synergy with the ministry.
The minister explained that the BPP should be the conscience of the government to prevent corruption in procurement processes. He further explained that agencies under the Ministry of Interior oversee and safeguard critical national assets of the nation, while their officers sacrifice their all for Nigerians to sleep with their eyes closed. And for more on the achievement of the Ministry of Interior, we have the Honorable Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, live in the studio with us this morning. Thank you for joining us on the program, Honorable Minister.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you in our studio.
Thank you.
Well, let's begin this way. The new visa and passport regime under your leadership has been widely acknowledged for its significant improvement. Tell us more about it and how far-reaching it has been in enhancing service delivery.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for having me once again. For us, as you know, the mantra, the renewed hope is beyond the mantra. Renewed hope is about business unusual. Renewed hope is about changing the narratives, and the renewed hope is not about renewing selfishness or renewing inefficiency. It's about curing deficiencies within existing systems, and that's what led us to what we've been able to do and what we're still doing within the Ministry of Interior. You spoke about the passport regime, which is under the Nigerian Immigration Service by law, by virtue of the NIS Act 2015, you know, the power to issue passports, travel documents, border control, border management lies with the NIS. And when we came on board, we did an analysis of the whole system. I've said this before, and of course, I come from a project management background. You know, I'm a professional for over 2 decades experience in project management. And coming on board, the first thing was to do an analysis, end-to-end analysis of the whole system, and we saw the pains that Nigerians were going through. As at that time, we had over 204,000 passports applications unprinted, you know, and people were struggling to even have passports. Not that the NIS were being wicked, but there was a problem in terms of bottleneck, in terms of supply of even the booklet that needed to be personalized. So that was a problem. Then problem number 2 was a scenario whereby the efficiency of the application process, where you will need to go with your breeder documents, you need to go there, they will need to take your passport, you have to cancel your a day's job because you need a national passport. And we thought that anywhere in the world, this is 2024-5, for example, and Nigeria is one of the biggest economies in the world. Technologically, we are not at the back. Yeah. We're right there, you know, and we believe that technology should be a catalyst. Technology should be an enhancer of service delivery. And we had to bring in technology in that perspective. And I tell you today, within 2 weeks, we were able to clear the 204,332 passports. We promised Nigerians we were going to do that because, as the president will always say, when there is a will, there will always be a way. So we were able to do that. But we knew that was a short fix. And for us to have a sustainable, because this government is not about just finding solutions. This government is about finding lasting solutions to problems. We want to build structure. We want to build enduring legacies. We want to build a legacy that Nigerians, even yet unborn, will read about and experience as a turning point for the destiny of Nigeria, for the best. So we decided we needed a long-term solution to kill this menace once and for all. And to the glory of God, we're able to automate the whole process end to end. The last phase is what we're doing now. The first phase, which we launched January 8th, 2024, was about automating the whole application system, including the uploading of your breeder document, including uploading of your passport, and etc. So definitely you don't need to go there and they'll put white cloth behind you in 2024 just to take your passport when you can upload. After all, when you apply for visas, you upload. When you apply for children that write JAMB or whatever, they upload online. So there are specific picture qualities, and you can even get a better quality because the system is automated in such a way that the system determines maybe it fits the specification in line with international ICAO standard, which is the international specification or not. So we were able to do that. And by doing that alone, guess what? We saved the government of over 600 million naira per year. Because for uploading of breeder documents, we were paying vendors about 600 million just to upload what Nigerians could upload.
Okay, let me come in with this. Having uploaded those documents, does an applicant need to now take the document there for citing, for verification?
No, the issue is, because for citing, I'll tell you this is where we always try to get it wrong. Physical citing, yes, might improve the chance of fraud discovery, but it does not eliminate the prospect or the tendency of fraud. Because these officers don't have laser in their eyes. What did we do? Is we now introduce what we call the DVOs, document verification offices. So when you upload your breeder document, it is the responsibility of those DVOs to verify from the issuer of those documents even before you come for capturing. So in all the 774 local governments now, because there's no local government where we don't have an immigration office, we have immigration office to the local government. So if you are submitting any document, may it be marriage certificate, may it be birth certificate, may it be whatever, it must originate from a local government in Nigeria. So the DVOs have a role to play. It is only when the DVOs clear a document that the passport officers can now process the application. But for a first-time applicant, that's the second stage that we've gone to, is that you must come to NIS office at least once in your life.
All right.
Once you come to the NIS office, of course, we'll be able to profile you. Our officers are trained to know maybe you're a Nigerian, maybe you're not a Nigerian, beyond just the documentation. But if you are not a first-time applicant, you now have the opportunity of what we call a contactless biometric solution. Just like it's done. Nobody goes to immigration office in the UK to go and renew passport. Nobody goes in America. In most countries, even Ireland, most countries, nobody does that. So because your document, your biometrics is your biometric. Once it's been taken, once your breeder document is already there, your birth certificate is your birth certificate. In 100 years, the date you were born is the same day. In 200 years, where you were born, all these are key issues. So what we now do is to introduce what we call a contactless solution, so that for Nigerians who do not wish, for example, do not have the luxury of time to go to immigration office, they can renew from the comfort of their homes. That has not started in Nigeria, but that started on the 1st of November in Canada. Then on the 7th of February, we started in UK, Ireland, and the rest of the EU countries. And by March 4th, I think, yes, we'll be starting in Nigeria, and by March 4th, we'll be starting in Nigeria, that's Africa, and Asia. And by April, we'll be taking it to the Americas, that's the US, Brazil, and the rest. So hopefully by May 1, we would have, because we decided to segmentize it, so that at least for the purpose of efficient management.
Okay.
Of course, it's a new technology, it's a new solution. When you start, there are hitches, there are going to be one or two problems. You have the opportunity of fixing rather than just opening that. And the last phase of the passport revolution system is, of course, the centralized personalization, which we are doing because all over the world. Do your research even when I live here. How many countries print passport from more than one or two locations? It's very difficult. Even the UK is one. In the US is two. Even China, all over the world. Why? Because your passport, even though belongs to you, but the passport is a Nigerian document. It's a sovereign document of state. It belongs to the federal government, and it's a security document. It's beyond a travel document. It's a security document that confirms that you are a Nigerian. So because of that, and when you look at even the paper that he used to print passport, it's the same paper that used to print money. That's to tell you the security level that is involved. And as of today, we print in more than 50, 60 locations. There is no way you can do that, and your passport will maintain the integrity that is needed. So what have we done is to, as I speak to you, we're running up the centralized personalization center in Abuja. We're going to have that in Abuja, and of course Lagos as a backup, where we'll be able to centralize the production. But as we speak, we've already, through our temporary site in NIS headquarters, we're already printing, we've already centralized production for 21 countries. Guess what? By centralizing the production for 21 countries in Abuja, what have we saved government of? We have saved government of 21 multiplied by minimum of $250,000.
Let's talk about the legacy achievement. The legacy achievement you spoke under the Tinubu administration. One major issue is the steep visa on arrival, which has doubled to $170, deterring investors and tourists. This is considered to be undermining the government's economic recovery efforts and contradicts the country's commitment to African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Are you mindful of this? Well,
I'll tell you that last year, towards the end of last year, the president signed a revised NVP 2024. That's Nigerian Visa Policy 2024. And we are working very hard to ensure that by 1st of March, the e-visa regime comes in. If the e-visa comes in, it means that we're cancelling visa on arrival per se. And when we cancel, it means that people can apply for short stay up to 90 days in Nigeria, because we can't go beyond that, because that's what the NIS Act stipulates as a duration. Even though you will have the choice if you want single entry or multiple within the 90 days, and people will be able to get those visas in less than within 24 to maximum of 48 hours.
I would like you to hold that thought. I would like you to hold that thought, because we need to take a commercial break now. Don't more for you after this break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In Nigeria, almost.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching TVC Breakfast, and we're live from our Abuja studio. And still with us in the studio is the Honorable Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo. Now, just before we went on the break, you were talking to us about this increase in the steep visa on arrival fee.
I wouldn't use the word increase, because if that is happening, you know, it's not. That will need to be investigated. I don't want to sit here and acknowledge that. Okay. But the key issue, as I always said, why we're bringing technology and automating the whole process, is to be able to reduce human contact. If you reduce human contact, you reduce corruption. If you eradicate human contact, then you eradicate corruption. That's the truth, because you can only seek for bribe. You can only seek bribe from who you see or who you interact with. So the whole idea for us is that the e-visa, because even the major thing is not even the legal visa fee.
So are you saying that you're not aware of this fee? Is that what you're saying?
I know what I'm aware of is not $170. Let me put that on record. You know, which is statutory, because if you go to any country in the world, you pay. Let's call it spade a spade. You know, Nigeria is not a dumping ground. As much as we open the border, but we open it with the level of respect, level of dignity. Okay, but the key issue is that what is the question is the appropriateness of the charge, you know, and I am a strong believer that for African countries, that's non-West African, because ECOWAS is free. You understand? Free entry, free exit for 90 days. Okay. But for African countries, yes, you can't pay what others pay. There has to be in line with African free trade agreement. So we are working that out. And I tell you that by 1st of March, we're testing the solution as we speak. We hope everything goes well, that we'll be able to go live by 1st of March. But we know worst case scenario, by 1st of April, we will go live with the e-visa scheme. The e-visa scheme is more secured. Why did I say it's more secured? Is that it's connected to all criminal, Interpol, and border control databases all over the world. So we are now sure that we can do objective profiling of people that are trying to come in. We want to open our borders, but we don't want to open our borders to terrorists. Okay. We don't want to defeat national security. So we are working on that. And I tell you that for African countries, even the fee for African countries is going to be very, very low, because we believe in one Africa. Right. The president is the chairman of ECOWAS. You understand? It's a key factor in Africa. Nigeria is a giant of Africa, and we believe that as a big brother we need to. But we will do that with a level, with the highest level of dignity to ourselves, you know, as a country. Okay. I want to assume that some of these successes is it's also tied to what was commissioned in January. That is the Technology Center. Yeah, Technology Center, and there you're credited to have said we're able to build one of the biggest data centers in the history of Nigeria. Yeah. Now, in 2021 also, there was a technology center commission. It wasn't a technology center. So it was a technology building. It was just a building. That was a building, and that's where houses the CG, more of offices. Okay. So the equipment now. See, no, not equipment. I've heard this too many times. Okay. As much as I've always tried not to talk about it, but of course sometimes you just need to make things clear. You understand? What they had was a technology building. They didn't have a data center. They didn't have any command and control. They didn't have even. There was nothing. With due respect. So what they have, and it was a building by Julius Berger, the houses, the CG, some of the DCG's finance. It was just a building. What we did, every structure the president commissioned, with the exception of the ECOWAS card center, the foundation was laid by this government. I don't want to, we're not here, this has to do with national interest, and it's for the benefit of Nigeria. It's not about ego tripping. It's not about trying to, but sometimes when people start saying some of these things, for instance, the command and control center was built from the scratch. Even at the beginning, I could remember January 1, 2024. I was there live. Even with Seun Okinbaloye of another TV station was there with some media to see with the whole idea. The solar farm was from scratch. There was nothing called solar farm. Today, we save over, today we generate all the electricity that we used to manage the whole infrastructure from that place. From scratch, there was no e-gate anywhere in Nigeria. This government brought about the e-gate solution. Today, if you come and you're a Nigerian to Lagos, to Abuja, you don't go and see immigration. You tap your passport, we capture your biometric, you leave. This is it. Before we came, there was nothing like APIS, Advanced Passenger Information System. There was no modern command and control center. When we were doing the command and control center, on 2 different occasions, IATA came all the way from Canada to come and look at the solution from scratch, the building. There was no visa approval center that we have created. The data centers that we created were created by this government. I don't want to go into petty things, because for us, it's not about who takes the glory. It's about Nigeria. It's about Nigeria surviving. It's about Nigeria Immigration Service migrating from a travel document issuing agency to an internal security agency that will be in charge of border governance, border management, border control, and will be in charge of migration management. So for us, it's about agencies performing optimally. Who does what is irrelevant. But people should not come because they want to, we don't want that. We don't want to be dragged into that. And as I speak, that is why if you see what the President Commission is called BATIC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu Technology Innovation Center, and there is a fence, a mesh fence, runs the whole infrastructure. The technology building is not part of that mesh, because the technology building with due respect, is just an office.
Okay. Okay.
All right, let's talk about your ministry just got approval for the establishment of the paramilitary academy. What would be the mode of operation of that academy, and how would it, how will it go in the long run? How would it, move in its operation in the long run?
Well, let me first of all start by appreciating Mr. President for this noble idea and because it's the first time the paramilitary agencies now are becoming very professional in terms of, because the key issue is that if your intake, if your recruitment process is flawed, if you have problem with it, you cannot expect a good result from a wrong process. That's the truth, The result is a function of a process. Okay, and that's why there are always two sides to an equation, and if you want to balance the equation, you must balance both sides. Okay, now the whole idea, what we inherited, with due respect, as I said, I don't like talking about the past, is a recruitment process for paramilitary agencies that is just like civil service agencies. That's not the idea of paramilitary. Paramilitary, they're supposed to complement the effort of the military, because there are three stages. You have the police, you have the paramilitary, you have the military. Okay? Now, the paramilitary, they are supposed to be able to protect critical assets. They're supposed to take pressure off the military. For instance, protection of oil pipelines. For instance, protection of our minefields, protection of our farmlands. That's not the military. That's the job of paramilitary agencies. They're supposed to be, for instance, also, in terms of our correctional service, our borders, managing our border. So the military in any part of the world only comes when there's escalation that is beyond the capacity. Military is not supposed to be the first line of internal security. The first line is supposed to be the police and the paramilitary agencies. But you see the police, with due respect, there's a structure whereby you go to the police academy, there is they train you all through there, you come out, you become an officer. They've not just trained you in terms of how to shoot, how to do your job, they've also trained you in terms of character. They've molded your character. It's called catch them young. You cannot, and I repeat, you cannot just pick people and just throw them and give them guns. It has to be through a process, a lot of process. When you look at the military, they have the NDA, whereby you go to the NDA, you write your JAMB, you fill your Nigerian Defense Academy, you go there, you study law, you study engineering, you are also training in terms of your military training. But they are developing you from your teenage years. So we realize today that we have close to 200,000 paramilitary. But the question we need to ask ourselves is that the 200,000 paramilitary that we have, the effect of it, is it reflecting in terms of the management and enhancement of internal security? If the answer is a no, is it the fault of some of these officers? The answer is a no, because they require training. It's not there. So what the president decided to do, which is a bold and audacious move, and I have to appreciate him for this, is to set the record straight and create a lasting solution to the quality of personnel that we have. Do not forget, a man you recruit today is a prospective CG tomorrow. Yeah. So if it doesn't have that, so now the Paramilitary Academy is a degree awarding institution, just like the NDA, just like the police, university in Woodhill. When you write your JAMB, you feel the paramilitary. Once you go there, you get your degree. Is it law? Is it whatever you want to study? You get it. Then you get the required training, from where you can now go to immigration. You can now go to because between you and I, when we recruit people now, you do 3 months training, for example. 3 months training is not enough time in reality for you to send somebody to the border who does not even understand the geography of the border. He doesn't even understand the nitty-gritty, or to go to protect critical assets of government, or to take decisions with respect to correctional service. As I said on another station, a correctional officer is an agent of transformation, is an agent of rehabilitation, is an agent of restoration, is an agent of hope. You cannot give all these things if you do not understand psychological management. These are not, so the people you are employing from the market, the people from the labor market, into this agency. A lot of them, they already have their own psychological issues. They've looked for a job, there's no job, they've done this, they've done that, tried business, it has failed. Now they see this and last week. At the end of the day, they're already coming with that. That is not the idea of security anywhere in the world. The idea of security is a process that is properly planned from enlistment to the training, from training to commissioning. So now what we've had missing all along is the enlistment and, of course, the training. All we'll be doing is to recruit people as if they are going to carry biro and paper all their lives. No. They are here not just to earn salary. They are here for national service. They've been employed to be able to deliver on issue of internal security. So we believe that the quality of our personnel in the next year, because a good leader is a leader that solves today's problem for the benefit of today. A great leader solves tomorrow's problem today. You know, so that generations yet unborn can have a better life. And I think that is what this particular government is trying to do.
Honorable Minister, speaking about the protection of critical national assets, the country has suffered serious damage to its critical infrastructure, especially the targeted attacks on power lines, causing blackouts in most parts of the country. Where is the National Security and Civil Defense Corps in all of this? How are they, stepping up to the plate in protecting national assets?
Well, let me thank you for this question. And I want to say very critically that, once again, as a government, we're trying to rewrite the narrative. We're trying to change the narratives. As I said, renewed hope is not about renewed recklessness. It's not about continuity in a system that's not working. Renewed hope is about changing the narrative. Renewed hope is about doing self-assessment, self-evaluation, and correcting areas that needed to be corrected. Having said that, the NSCDC was set up with that mandate. That's the main idea of the NSCDC. If that is not achieved, then the salary they draw from the treasury, it's complete waste. Let's call it spade a spade. And that's why first thing we did is to set up myself with the office of the NSA. We came up with a critical national asset committee, chaired by the NSA, co-chaired by me, of which NSCDC is the secretariat, and we came up with all revised strategies which the president has graciously commissioned and inaugurated. So now, and you can see as a result of that, in the solid minerals, we now have what we call the mine marshals. That was an idea of the Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Dele Alaki, in collaboration with the Ministry of Interior. Today, you can see that the level of crisis in the solid mineral sector has gone down. We are also working very hard with my brother, the Minister of Power, to also be able to create a unique outfit, within the NSCDC structure. Because what we saw is that a single structure of NSCDC cannot solve this problem. Because every sector has unique challenges. For instance, the challenge you need in the agro rangers to protect the farmland is not the same as you have in the petroleum, oil and gas industry, because the threats are different. So if you do not do threat assessment, you will always be profiling a wrong solution. So what we did is now we're coming up with what we call the power rangers to be able to protect our critical power infrastructure.
Just let me come in with that. You'll continue with that discussion. These agro rangers and all stuff, they're drawn from the NSCDC.
Yeah, that's the whole structure.
Okay.
But like what we did, we inherited the agro rangers. That was not our creation. All right, but what we're doing is to optimize their performance level. That's okay. But I'll use the example of the mine marshal. What we did was, we created a specialized team, well-trained by NSCDC, but deployed under the control of solid minerals. Because we want to cut bottlenecks. This government is about collaboration. It's not about, a Minister of Interior, I have to control my men. No, it's about efficiency. So what we did is, because there are certain times that the Ministry of Solid Minerals is in charge of the mines. There are times they have information that needs, and security information, 1 second, if you're a second late, it might be very fatal and catastrophic. So what we did is to deploy this solution under the command of the Ministry of Solid, but they are NSCDC officials, well trained. Regularly we train them. We've done the phase 2 training for them. Now we want to do the same thing with the Ministry of Power, so that these people will be under the control, maybe of TCN, you understand, that controls this infrastructure, Ministry of Power, you know, so that they will cut off that bottleneck, because the whole command line that they need to get the Minister of Interior needs to get the CG needs to get this. Within all those periods, a lot of national assets will have been vandalized. So we want to cut that off so that they are officers of NSCDC, but seconded, that's the word, to the Ministry of Power, you know, under the control of Ministry of Power. Ministry of Power will be able to give them instructions in terms of what to do, when to do, and where they need them. Because I will not know solid mineral sites like Dr. Dele Alake. That is his field. I will not know agricultural issues, farmlands, like Minister of Agric. I will not understand power infrastructure, power solutions, like my brother Adelabu. You understand? That's his field. So we believe that if we segmentize civil defense and try to decentralize that control, you know, to various sectors, we will have a more efficient system, and that's what we're doing.
Well, let's quickly touch on the prison reforms and measures you have put in place to
Correctional service reforms.
Correctional service reforms. You talked about the plans for relocation of the correctional centers and also the need to reduce congestion. What significant progress have you made in this regard?
Well, first of all, we did an analysis, and last year we were able to reduce by 5%. That's over 4,000 inmates, because people must understand this. When people say, oh, there's congestion in the correctional centers, there's very little we can do. Of course, we have our own role to play, but it's not too integral. Let me put this, because don't forget that in the justice system, justice administration system, the law enforcement agencies will arrest. The law enforcement agencies will take you to court. They'll prosecute. The court gives an order for people to be kept with us. We are just custodians. That's the truth. So it's difficult for me to release people unless the court says I should release, or they fulfill their obligations, you know, in terms of fines and etc. So what we inherited was a scenario where we had over 83,000 inmates, both awaiting trial, of which close to 70% are awaiting trial. But I don't have power over that. I don't have the power to release an awaiting trial inmate to say go, unless the court says this is the condition for bail. I can't give bail. I don't have the power. And exercising the power that is not mine it's illegal. Yeah. So for us, when we did our assessment, 83,000, we saw that over 4,000 people were owing petty fines. What did we do? We reached out to the private sector without touching government money, because you cannot use government money to pay government. If you go and use government money, the question is, where is the appropriation? Was it appropriated for? It becomes another issue. So what we did was to reach out to people, and we were able to raise that fund, about 500 million, which we used to clear liabilities of 4,000 people. And guess what? Clearing the 500 and something million, 528 million to be precise, saved Nigeria of over $1 billion annually. So for me, it's just the rational thing to do. Why do I need to be feeding you with 1 billion naira when what you are owing me is 500 million?
So how about the relocation?
No, the issue of the relocation, yes, we wrote to the president. He graciously approved for us to start the process, because most of the problem we have within the correctional service were not created by the way they inherited problems, and we must also try to understand. I'll give you an example. Look at Ikoyi Correctional Center. That was built in 1956. President Tinubu was not president in 1956. I'll give you another example. The Correctional Center in Suleja was built in 1914. That's the year of amalgamation. I'll give you another example. The Correctional Center in Lafia was built in 1880-something, all right? President Tinubu was not even born then. So now we inherited, but like what we say, leadership. As we always say, you inherit assets and liabilities. You cannot embrace the asset and move away from the liability. So what we are doing now is we finished the evaluation process. We've identified those correctional centers that we need to relocate because of urbanization. All right. For instance, the one in Ikoyi, you can't keep a correctional center by the Polo Club.
We're running out of time. Yeah. We're running out of time, but I really need to ask you that there's a number of Nigerians who move abroad, or in the Nigerian term, Japa, is growing due to economic hardship. The International Organization for Migration estimates that in the last 2 years, about 3,679,496 Nigerians have left the country. Does the new visa and passport regime introduced by your ministry address this growing migration of Nigerians out of Nigeria? Does it address it?
I don't understand.
And irregular migration?
I don't. Yeah, if you talk about irregular migration, I understand.
Yes.
But when you talk about the effect of visa on migration, I don't get it. Because there are two, it's like the two parallel lines. Because you're talking about Japa, people leaving Nigeria. You don't need exit visa to leave Nigeria as a Nigerian. You don't need it. So it is only visitors to Nigeria that needs visa.
So how do you curb the illegal migration into Nigeria?
Yeah, the issue of illegal migration, yes, we're working on that. That's by securing our borders the more. For instance, the APIs that we did at our airport now has given us that advantage for us to be able to handle that. Then the e-border solution that we've done, which we have, phase 1 has been completed 100%, and that's about, which covers about 60% of our land border. That's about 2,000. Our land border is 4,047 kilometers. So 60% is about 2,400 kilometers. That has been done by virtue of the e-border solution, and of course this is integrated to our command and control center and etc. And we are also, NIS too, they're also partnering with sister agencies, you know, to NAPTIP, you know, for the issue of trafficking and etc. So we're building our capacity in terms of our border control. The key responsibility, I said it earlier on this program, is that we saw an NIS that was more of a document issuing agency rather than a border control agency. Right. And that is the narrative that the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President is trying to kill.
All right. Thank you so much for your time with us on the program this morning. Honorable Minister of Interior, it was good talking to you and, you know, clarifying all issues on visa application and all of that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
That's it from us here in Abuja. It's back to you in the studio in Lagos, Veronica and Brian.
Thank you to Jesu and Eshomomo for that insight.